Okay, so remember that they're changing my voice and that I'm a moral supremacist and not a racial supremacist. This is very key here because if you read the story about Horus, right, who represents the embodiment of righteousness, the Pharaoh, the son of God, okay, he is trying to restore the divine order, whether it's the first dynasty before Osiris worship kind of changes the arguments that we see the ancient Egyptians making, right? And they make their own kind of counterfeit story with Osiris, which can be reconciled with the truth if you redefine the characters a certain way, okay, depending on, what they were getting at originally, okay, to redefine them in a way that goes back to the original, God's son. And then Osiris just happens to be his human father, right? Okay. Or Osiris is a form of Horus who, when he dies, he becomes Horus in the spiritual realm. There's a way to explain it correctly. But anyway, so when we look at the divine order, right, the order here represents the order of appeal. But it also, when it comes to me being first, it also represents the order of divine worth. Okay, so the Son of God is worth more, right? It's a Royal African Falcon martial art order, not a kind of panther or leopard order, but it's connected to that, and it's a story for another day. So basically, if you look at it carefully, right, the real life version of the Black Panther would lose to me because I'm faster than that character is. I'm smarter. Even though that character has superhuman speed, I'd outsmart him and I'd cut him open. Okay, it's a little bit confusing. Now, I'm sure if you exponentially increase the Black Panther's characteristics, then he would magically win. If in theory, right? But God set me apart as the top martial artist ever. Okay, now you then look at James Bond. Okay, he has a lot of appeal in popular culture, right? People, went crazy over James Bond. They're like still making James Bond movies, right? And then there's Carlton. Okay, now James Bond represents white privilege, corrupt, deep state stuff, propaganda campaigns of the CIA, MI6, MI5, or whatever, the military, what have you. Intelligence agencies. It's just propaganda, right? He's like Captain America. He's a propaganda fake. Okay, now Carlton is more or less representing for people who are kind of nerdy, social club, Freemason black guys, no offense to anybody. So you can kind of understand the real life version of all these guys, and what the order of actual divine worth would be. I shouldn't have to explain that anymore. And it's kind of, it hurts people's feelings and so on, so I'll leave that there. When we look at the order of divine appeal and worth, I'm number one. We look at the order of appeal, I'm still number one. It doesn't take a genius to see that the top martial artist ever and the Son of God is more appealing than James Bond or Carlton or the Black Panther, who's not universally divine, not in his comic book form. He's just somebody, he's very important in the comics, what have you, but he, compared to Christ, the Son of God, he's somebody who has a local religion, okay, who takes on certain, he's an ancestor worship type of person, and he doesn't worship God Almighty first and foremost and the top martial arts ever possible, which is me, which is the Son of God, which is universally ideal, okay? So a lot of people who don't understand this are the people who are persecuting me. It's certain types of Jews, whites, LGBT people, certain types of old people who are just out of touch with these ideas. And they think that it's smart to utterly disgrace themselves and their groups and to put them beneath everyone else by persecuting me and trying to get them to benefit. When people look around and says, who has the means, motive, and ability? The motive includes the distribution of wealth. Who's seen as celebrities? Okay, it's the concentration camp effect. It's beating your wife effect. It's a scoundrel beating Superman effect. It's what happens is you look like a scoundrel that are doing other people dirty, and you look like the groups that are willing to accept those ill-gotten gains, and it makes you look bad.